I'm so glad that you can join us. I'm Ivy from MoeGo, and I'll be the moderator of today's webinar, Elevating the Pet Parent Experience to Drive Business Growth. We'll be exploring how pet care businesses can deliver a premium customer experience by combining transparency, comfort, and operational efficiency with iDogCam and MoeGo's integration. So before we jump in, like I said, the webinar is being recorded and we'll post the webinar on our YouTube channel at MoeGo, so you can rewatch or share with your team. And if you have any questions, don't wait until the end, drop them right in the chat, and I'll keep track of the questions so I can save them for the Q&A portion at the end. So I'm excited to introduce today's panelist. Billy is also from MoeGo as our partnership manager. Billy, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you're most excited to talk about today?
Sure, Ivy, and thanks for having me as a panelist on this team. I'm Billy Stein. I manage our sales team as well as our partnership community at MoeGo. I have been in technology for the last 15 years and spent the last year at MoeGo. MoeGo's mission is to be the operating system for the pet services community. We have roughly 10,000 service locations worldwide that operate our platform every day. And I am probably most excited just about the company I get to be with Aaron, who's been a great partner to us. And in the absence of trying to start one-upmanship right away, to get to run it back with Jake, who I got to support in his MoeGo evaluation earlier this year. Couldn't be happier to join. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you, Billy. So, like Billy said, also joining us, Aaron, president of iDogCam, which is a leading camera technology provider for pet care facilities. Aaron, can you also introduce yourself and what this partnership means for pet parents?
Thank you all. Aaron Garrison from iDogCam, president of iDogCam. We've been around for about 15 years now. It's been a real pleasure to be in the pet care space overall. And of course, I've been in technology my entire career from back in my TV engineering days and sports television. I'm really excited to talk about how this particular type of technology, cameras specifically, are really helping pet care businesses achieve kind of a higher level of satisfaction from their customers, transparency, and how this integration with MoeGo is one of the leading ways that it's easy to do that for both the pet care businesses and the pet parents themselves.
Oh my goodness, apologies. I swear Google Slide does not want to work with me. Let me go quickly back to the introduction slide. Okay. Is this currently full screen for you guys?
We see, we do see the slides in their browser top headers there.
Okay, perfect.
There
we go.
I just fixed it. So sorry about that, but thank you so much, Aaron, for that quick
Sure.
introduction. Last but not least, we have Jake, owner of Hound HQ, who's using both MoeGo and iDogCam to deliver a transparent, seamless client experience. Jake, how did Hound HQ come to be, and what did you hope to accomplish by creating Hound HQ?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been open just under 2 years now. But I come from a corporate finance background. Honestly, I kind of hit like a fork in the road in my career. One of those, I don't know what to do next, and a bit of a light bulb moment, from my own experience with my two boys at the time. Having going through, go to a kennel while I was on vacation back home for holidays. I lived out on the East Coast, and it's one of those. I wish this place had this or that, and it's coming at a point where I could really. I felt like I could do it better myself, and the stars kind of aligned, and I wanted to get back home to Omaha anyway. Found a really good location, a couple blocks from where I grew up, and stars kind of aligned. Everything kind of worked out how it needed to be. And one of the things that I really wanted to emphasize, with my facility was transparency, clear communication at all times, and just really a family feel. To treat you like I would my own dogs, and treat you, the pet owner, as someone I would my own family. that was something that was really important to me, and how I was going to try to make, be a real difference maker, for not just myself, but my business, but just kind of my own personality too. Just doing everything how you should do, treat others how you should be treated, whether it's four-legged or two-legged.
That's inspiring. Thank you, Jacob, for sharing. So let's take a quick look over the topics that we'll be covering today. We'll start off with the big picture, why transparency and visibility is so important to pet care businesses and pet parents. And then diving into iDogCam and then partnership and product updates before hearing a real customer story with Jake. We'll be reserving some time at the end for our Q&A portion to answer all of you guys' questions. So, like I said, feel free to send them in the chat. And before we jump into the tools and technology, it's important to ground ourselves in the why this partnership exists in the first place. At the end of the day, it's not just about cameras or software, it's about helping pet care businesses build trust and deliver a premium experience for their clients. So let's start there. Billy, can you please take it away?
I would be happy to. Do you want to go to the next slide so that we can thank you,
Yeah.
Ivy? So one of the things that Jake said, and I think as we zoom out a little bit, I grew up in a small town, and I think it's so cool to hear Jake tell his story about his location is just down the street from where he grew up. That's a pretty common story. And so we have a maxim at MoeGo. We always say start with the customer and work backwards. So when we think about the why behind our integration with iDogCam, our business partnership with iDogCam, our alignment, at the end of the day, for all three of us, it really comes down to pet parents because that's who we're trying to mutually serve. And so when we think about pet parents and we start kind of reverse engineering back to why we do the things we do, this integration is so powerful because it comes down to folks like Jake being able to offer a great client experience. And when we think about the pillars of that, we do think about transparency, which Jake already mentioned. Then we think about the accessibility. Pet parents who have to take their dogs to the pet resort for daycare or board them overnight, they're so busy they don't even get to spend time with their four-legged loved ones. So when we think about the value that comes behind it, what this integration allows is for those pet parents that don't get to be physically in the room with their dogs, we get to offer the next best thing, which is virtually being in the room with their dogs and doing it with the convenience of going straight basically into your MoeGo profile and just checking in whenever you want. And when you start thinking about the benefit that that provides for somebody like Jake or anybody that's using this integration, if you build a great experience for the clientele, it builds two things. It builds trust and it builds loyalty with your business. And that goes a very long way because it's such a saturated market for almost everybody. So few MoeGo users, so few iDogCam users have a true monopoly in their market that this is something that really goes a long way to winning over those pet parents. And then when we think about that, the next way I kind of rationalize it when you think about technology, I'm even looking at my desk and I see four screens that are all internet enabled. So it kind of allows us to do two things. Number one is it allows pet services to live where pet parents hang out. That could be on their cell phones, that could be on their tablet devices, it could be anywhere there's a browser, and it allows operation to be very easy, very succinct, keep up with those pet parents. And number two, it allows for all the operators within the staff to just be able to operate the facility, to be able to manage lodgings, to be able to make sure tasks are taken care of, and really distill things down to make it easy. Because at the end of the day, if you do everything correctly, we think about that long-term goal. And one of the things that we like, one of the metaphors we use a lot is no pet parents really like the CVS brand. They'll pay a higher premium for the premium experience. And when you start combining all these things, it creates this competitive advantage that leads to repeat customers, which ultimately is what we want to be able to create the format for. And I think that's something that the MoeGo and iDogCam partnership strongly helps operators do is create that path to growth and profitability. And Aaron, Jake, I know I just dominated that entire section there. Anything y'all want to add into what we're talking about when we think about the impact?
Yeah, I'll mention real quick that I've never met a pet parent who I've spoken to. People. I went on a cruise earlier this year on a vacation, and people were looking that I'd met there had actually boarded their dogs at some of the facilities, or at a facility that we were enabled at. And I told them, well, hey, that's our company that's providing those camera feeds, and the elation on their that they gave back to me, the feedback they were saying was, oh, I'm so happy, people provide this service, at this kind of level, so that brings us comfort while we're away from our pets. And I've never met a pet parent who had anything negative to say about a camera being available for them, at a facility that they're boarding at.
Yeah, and I mean, for us, it's dogs in a way, especially ones that use this type of service, particularly daycare. Boarding's been going way back. But daycare is, a luxury service, that not everyone gets to experience, but it's kind of babyfied you know, the service. It's an extension of the family, more so now than ever. So, treating them like, members of the family, is critically important, and having the transparency for, the four-legged fur baby, it goes such a long way to creating that trust, because back to the baby idea, they'll kind of like, when you get your hair cut, in a sense, like you find someone that cuts your hair, how you want it, same thing every time, what to expect, the service you're supposed to expect. So for us, trying to be just on repeat every single day, and being consistent, and ensuring that your dog's taken care of, and you can check in, you can see all the things, is an immense value. And if things are inconsistent, your cameras don't work sometimes, or you just don't have them, or say you do and they don't ever work, that creates a barrier of trust. And barriers of trust in this business is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and something to add just real quick to what Jacob was saying there is, at iDogCam, we take uptime and reliability on the service as our main focus. Like I said, we all come from a broadcast TV background, and uptime is critical to us. So we constantly monitor our customers' systems down to the camera level. There's a problem, we're on it. That is important because your customers come to expect that reliability and functionality as well, because they're paying that premium price usually.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. We talked about the importance of visibility, trust, and the reason why we do it all. So let's kind of dig in deeper into like how this looks like in action. Aaron, can you walk us through iDogCam's technology and how it helps facilities deliver that next level experience?
Yeah, one thing that's unique about iDogCam is we don't piggyback off any other technologies. We created this service from the ground up. We own and operate all of our cloud servers ourselves. The software is owned by us. It's developed by us, and that really allows us to focus in on pet care providers' specific needs, and then ultimately delivering to the pet parent the best possible experience they can have. We've been around for 15 years now. We have over 20,000 cameras in operation across 900 plus facilities now. So we've grown substantially over the years. We're a full service provider, so you'll still receive, if you want, all of the traditional security functionality of a system. We're camera recording. Owners can look in at their facilities whenever they want. But the real benefit of the system is what we've created for the public pet parent side of things, and all the features to really drill down. Do you want the cameras on at certain times? Who has access to the cameras? And the integration with MoeGo, which kind of streamlines all that functionality. Once the system is set up, there's nothing more for your staff or for you to worry about as far as when pet parents can access the cameras and how they access the cameras. It really makes it a much more secure system, because you don't have to have all these things just floating around online and anybody being able to look into your facility. Again, built specifically for the pet care industry. We have reliable support. We have 7-day a week, including holidays, live phone support. You can call us, you can email us, you can chat us text message us, whatever you like. We're here for you 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Central. So, technology can be scary sometimes, especially in the early onset of when you implement it. So we're here to shepherd you through the entire process and then continue to do that while you're our customer. And then the other area that we excel at is we're future proof, essentially. So once you make an investment in our equipment or whether you're leasing it, our service continues to evolve for future technologies. But the equipment that you're buying now is essentially somewhat future proof. So since again, our software is running on all our local deployments, our firmware on all of the cameras, when we want to implement an update and a future option or feature, we can deploy that to all of our customers at the same time. So customers that started with us almost 15 years ago still have all the same features that people are getting when they sign up today. So you're getting, you're not just buying a box from Walmart or Costco or something and trying to install cameras at your facility where you're limited to what's in that box. Everything at iDogCam is essentially thinking outside of that type of system.
Can we hear also more about like what is the next step for iDogCam, like a look into that future?
Yeah. So one thing that we're working on right now for our current customers is AI technologies are all the buzz, of course, right? So we are right now in model training to detect what we like to call the mess detector. It will be, and it is currently able to detect, if bathroom events, things like that that are happening. The idea behind that is we want to provide the staff at the facility, if an event is not looked at or potentially mitigated within a few minutes time, or whatever the owner of the facility or management decides is a, drop dead, we need to address, an accident or something, the system will alert in some way the facility staff on site. So what we project is that once these models are done sometime next year, is that we'll be able to deploy that as an option to all of our current facilities, regardless of whether they have one camera or 200. And then we're going to be working with MoeGo to integrate that potentially into the dashboards and other regular items that facility staff are using, that they're in front of, to see what the goings on of the day. So it's really exciting, right, to be able to bring some of these interesting future technologies into the software integration, and then in addition to streamlining, things that are going on at the facility. So, you've got the cameras, pet parents can potentially see things going on. You want to make sure everything is on the up and up, of course. So these types of technologies are going to help. And what we're focusing on first is direct to the facility staff to help them better manage their days and provide them with data that's important to them. And we have some other ideas as well. The key that we're focusing on is not having to have facilities purchase additional equipment or any other types of investment in technology. We want to use what's currently there in the best of our ability and then move on from there. And we think there's a lot of great things that are going to come out in addition. So it's an exciting time.
Yes, and then we also are able to take a look into iDogCam's cameras. We have a product demo, so let me quickly show that as well.
All of our cameras exist inside of what's called a camera viewer, which you're going to show. And it comes with your facilities, branding up here. This is direct from Hound HQ live right now. What we focus on is reliability, quality of image. We can detect the type of device that somebody is using, whether it be a computer or a mobile phone, what type of browser that they're using. And then our system will, within a few seconds, deliver the appropriate level stream for that particular device that they're using in the browser that they're implementing. Or if it's inside of the MoeGo system, how it's actually accessed. But yeah, this is live right now from Hound HQ.
Awesome. It's so cool that we get to see an actual product demo and see this live. Let me quickly go back to the webinar slides.
And one other thing to mention on the technology side is we can implement our system is expandable from as little as one camera. We have plenty of facilities that have a single camera in use, all the way up to over 200 cameras at a single facility. The other thing, so you can off, there's no limit as to what you can offer your pet parents.
Okay, thank you, Erin. Oh, I need to expand this again, my bad. But now that our attendees have a sense of what iDogCam does, let's explore how our partnership with MoeGo helps connect visibility and management into one powerful experience. Really, can you break that down a little bit more?
Sure, and I'm going to go through this fairly quickly because I imagine most of y'all who are attending today are either already MoeGo users, iDogCam users, or both. So the way it works in general is you're able to connect those in-room cameras or the cameras that you keep in the unique kennels across your facility to the MoeGo platform. And what it creates is a more premium viewing experience that pet parents are then able to access so that they can virtually check in on their dog anytime you allow them to. Now, it's built into our online booking portal through our boarding and daycare facility package. If you happen to be a mobile groomer who's looking to get this integrated into your MoeGo platform, please speak loudly so that everybody who's monitoring the product roadmap can hear it for us. Now, for pet parents, the way this works is because that camera is already in their pet parent profile, they're able to go from the same screen that they're booking appointments with you, paying you, updating forms for their pets with, and they can click right in as long as they have an internet connection straight from that booking space. And what we always wanted and what we feel like it offers the Jakes of the world and any operators that use it is just for pet parents knowing that at any point they can check in and feel like they're with their dog even when they're not.
Cool, thank you, Billy. To see how this works in practice, I'm going to turn it over to Jake from Hound HQ, who's been using both MoeGo and iDogCam for a while now. So we can't wait to hear what your experience is like.
Yeah, so we started January of 2024. We started on Pet Exec, and we recently switched over in July to MoeGo. We've had iDogCam in the facility since inception. For me, that was the camera's really important. A, B was having a reliable provider for that. So at that initial onset of getting that all hooked up, it was much more seamless and less disruptive than I had envisioned for sure. They hire out somebody to come into your facility, hook it up correctly. They tell you what to purchase and get it on site, so that the person who's setting it up, has all the stuff there. They did ours within a few hours. Then this is in the midst of final construction phases, for initial opening. So it was a really pleasant experience, in all honesty. And then since then, I've had very little interaction with iDogCam, which is a huge plus because I don't have to, bug Aaron or bug somebody or the tech support of, this is down today, need it fixed as soon as possible. So like I've got a lot of people on here are small business owners or working this, and you've got a million other things to do. Last thing you need to do is worry about a technical glitch, where you got to plug things in, unplug things for 10 seconds, plug them back in. So being able to have a really reliable solution for me was really really critical. So that's been one of the best things. It's it was turned on, and I think I've had 2 emails in almost 18 months of like, hey, this was down today. And I think the one time that it was down, it was just because of a network maintenance of my Wi-Fi, and there was a long enough of a window of downtime overnight where the cameras just weren't able to resync. And we're talking about section as soon as they read the email, basically. So really easy to fix. Other than that, I've had no issues. I wasn't even. I haven't had an actual iDog problem. But at the initial opening of Hound HQ, we wanted the client experience needed to be as seamless as possible. You know, my own experience as a customer of these facilities before, it was, you know, booking was either not super convenient or was convenient, but nothing ever really worked seamlessly together. You know, you had to use one app or sometimes not even an app, but call in to book things. And then you had another one for cameras, if they had cameras at all, you know, or counted which appointments I've already made. So I really wanted a solution that was going to be able to do all of that right on one platform. You know, that parent doesn't have to switch browsers or different URLs, have 3 different apps to get everything how they wanted it to. And then we originally on Pet Exec at the onset, and then we switched over as, you know, Pet Exec is going to be shut off at some point. But we liked the MoeGo interface was light years beyond Pet Execs for sure. But you know, it still had all the functionality that my clients were used to. You know, being on in their portal, they can see the camera right there. They can still make all their appointments. You know, they just keep a bookmarked URL link, or they just go to my website, click a button, and they're in. And so it's really seamless. You know, they're consistent. Like I kind of mentioned at my onset, you know, especially for daycare and for boarding, if you want to have that premium experience, you got to provide a premium client experience. So not premium service needs a premium client experience if you want to retain your clients. So, you know, for us, we try to repeat each and every day. Dog gets dropped off, dog goes home healthy. You know, client drops off happy, you know, excited for the stay for the dog, you know, daycare, boarding, or grooming for that matter. And then when they get picked up, that's, you know, the same experience. They're getting a happy smile at the front. You know, someone who's ready to answer questions, you know, can show you a tour if you want the tour. But and then at the end of the day, you know, they picked up, dog's happy, client's happy. You know, any questions they may have, we've got someone there with an answer. And if not, we figure out, we'll get back to them, and they always hear from us. So, you know, kind of since this integration, which I don't know if anybody on here is not a MoeGo user at this point, but if you're switching over, you know, the MoeGo team was really helpful for me. I kind of have my corporate finance experience. We had to do a software switch for a chain of gyms at one point, and that was one of the worst experiences I've ever had to work with. So my bar, I've had some traumatic experience with these software switches before, and this one was, you know, night and day from my prior experience. So all in all, I guess the synopsis is, you know, my experience with iDogCam has been incredibly consistent. You know, with a good product, you know, they repeat each day. If we can have with dog daycares and boarding facilities, you know, it's a little bit of controlled chaos sometimes. So when you can find areas of consistency, you know, communicative, clear, you know, you kind of savor those things. You really enjoy it, and then when you get used to it, you really expect it. So for us, you know, even as our operations go, not even just on the technology side, but the technology is consistent. You know, people know how to use it once they get it figured out, and if it's easier to use, the better. You know, and just every day try to repeat the exact same thing. Everyone that comes in goes home healthy. Clients are able to book everything how they should. You know, you just repeat the process, and you create that really strong, you know, tight customer base that, you know, trusts you, has high expectations of you, you know, and wants that really good experience that you promise them. So having those 3 things has kind of been what's been a really good success for us. You know, and I really do think it is a competitive advantage. We are. It's not a saturated market here in Omaha, but there's you can go, you know, from us, you know, 5 miles away, you can hit 4 or 5 different facilities like ours. But what ours really sets ours apart is, you know, the consistency of a high expectation of transparency. You know, whatever question you've got, if you want to see the place, come on in, I'll show you around. You know, and it's not just, you know, one area of the facility, it's the whole thing. If you want to check in on your dog at noon during lunch, you are going to see your dog. That's what you want. In a lot of places, whether it's having spotty camera service or just say they have cameras and they don't, or they it's up there but it broke a year ago and nobody got around to fix it. For us, getting that level of transparency and trust, for their fur baby, is a major competitive advantage. We love our clients. We've got great dogs here that are with us and great pet owners too. But they ask a lot of us, and we try to meet that every day. So, and I think we're able to. That's what we doubled from year 2 to year 1. Client base, seeing more people every single week or every day. It's a huge trust factor, and it's showing on the bottom line, the top line and bottom line.
Thank you, Jake. That's a great example of how this partnership directly benefits real businesses. It's going to be time for our Q&A portion. So if anyone has any questions, it's time to send it in the chat. Let me quickly stop the screen share so that I can check the Q&A and the chat. Let's see what everyone has to say. So someone in the chat says, I'm currently working with the provider via T-Mobile in Puerto Rico with a similar solution. Are you able to give service in Puerto Rico? I think this is probably directed towards Aaron.
Yeah, we have a customer in Puerto Rico. Big one, has about 80 cameras, I think, and they've been our customer for 5 or 6 years now. Sure. Yeah, we also have customers in Australia, Canada, and Bermuda, actually. So all worldwide, it's no problem.
Awesome. Also, Victoria in the chat let us know that you guys weren't able to see the presenters while they were talking. I guess it's probably an issue with the slides, but if anything, like I was able to see it on my end. So hopefully with the recording, you guys are going to be able to see the presenters speak on our YouTube channel. And then Nancy let us know that Billy, mobile groomers are interested in this integration between iDogCam and MoeGo. So
Yeah.
let's add it to the product
I
roadmap.
I went on mute. I don't know if y'all heard the sound of the Mac screenshot going off, but I screenshotted all of your comments in the chat and they're getting forwarded over to the product group. So
Yeah.
hopefully
And
that oh, Kara, I got you too.
just to,
Go
oh,
ahead,
sorry.
Aaron.
I just wanted to say we are in the midst of implementing a demo at a grooming manufacturer, grooming van manufacturer in the next few weeks or within definitely by the end of the year. We're just waiting on them to implement this live demo. Hopefully that we'll be able to share with kind of the grooming industry on what a mobile grooming van implementation of the system would look like for them, as well as groomers. We also work with groomers. Regular groomers in regular facilities as well, non-mobile.
So hurry up and get through those demos and get them ready so
Yes.
that we can get them packaged for our groomers.
Yes, very exciting. Like I think there's like 2 other comments like talking about it for mobile grooming.
Yeah, and that product is available now. They can contact us if they're interested in knowing about the mobile grooming product. It can be implemented in their mobile vans currently. But we're excited to have the demo that we can officially show, something live that, obviously we can't take our current customers' videos or anything and show that. But so yeah, that's coming. But yeah, the system works great.
And one more thing I'll add before I toss it back to you. Anybody that is a mobile groomer that did post something in the chat, my email is billy@mogo.pet. I think it's on one of the next slides. More than happy to continue this dialogue with y'all after today if anybody wants to email me so that we can get this in front of the right people and hopefully one day be able to package an iDogCam integration for our groomers.
Yes, there was a question that says, would start and end times attach somehow to the groom session in MoeGo, not for streaming to parents per se, but for storing in case of questions, legal protection. Aaron or Billy, do you guys have any experience with that?
Our system out of the box will record directly to our cloud for 30 days. So usually an incident, will occur immediately. You'll know that you need something. So in our system, once an incident happens, if you think there's any chance of that coming back and you needing that footage, you're welcome to download any footage you need immediately. It's available as soon as it happens, essentially in our service. It can be downloaded to your own computer or your mobile device for long-term storage. But the standard is 30 days. If you feel like you need more recording through us in our cloud, you're welcome to add it. It's a couple dollars a month to add a additional, recording. It's like $1 a week per camera. So.
Thanks, Aaron. Thea in the chat says, how do pet parents use the iDog system? How do they log in and out? Are we able to give and remove access during stays? We're looking into a cat hotel currently use MoeGo for a mobile unit. Maybe this is like a mix of Aaron and Jacob, since Jacob, you have a good user experience with this.
Yeah, the way that ours is set up is if your dog is, or if the owner's pet is not logged in, there is no camera access, which is relatively standard, I believe, most places. But you can, I don't know if you're able to change that at all with the system. If there is, I'm not changing it. Kind of weird if your dog's not in, and someone's on lunch break that just wants to see dogs playing around that aren't theirs. I think I also saw the comment there about like if the dog or if the cameras record sound like from staff or from the room that they're able to hear. Aaron can think this, but for ours, no. I don't know if that's even the way that happens. I don't know if they want ERA clients to hear, but most of the time, I don't even think they're going to hear staff. They'll just hear barking most of the time.
Yeah, so going back to both of those, typically what will happen, so you can set up the cameras however you want to operate your business technically. With the MoeGo integration, anyone who's actively checked into the facility, you can provide immediate access to just by them being logged into MoeGo and MoeGo knowing that they're checked into the facility, and then they will receive access to be able to click on a link and open the camera. Essentially, when they are no longer active at the facility or checked in, then that link is no longer available for them to view. Even if someone bookmarks that link, if they go back to it later on their device, if they're not actively checked into the facility, that link will not function. So it's total security apparatus so that you know who has access. Now, if you want to change that, and I don't know about limiting individual people. I don't think that's actually an option. It may be something that MoeGo can add if you want to essentially negate somebody's ability to add it. I don't know how that would look at your facility. We've never actually had that feature request directly to us. It's the first time I've heard that. So word will get around to that customer probably that you do have cameras or something. So there's that to look at. In regards to audio, so all of the cameras that we deploy today have microphones, and audio capability is there for recording. None of our facilities have audio available to the pet parents who would not want that, because you never know what staff or anybody else may be saying as far as private information in the facility. So we would never recommend that. The only thing, in order to activate audio on the recordings, we stress that you check your local laws. So in some cities and or states, there are laws governing what you can do as far as recording audio of your employees on site. The other thing about offering it to pet parents, there have been some beta tests on that in the over the 10 years that we've been doing it. The thing is, your pet parents will only hear barking, generally speaking, and there won't be anything of value necessarily to them in regards to audio. The other thing I will say is that we do not do audio out of the camera from the pet parent to the dogs, because the dogs have no idea what's going on. And typically, and Jacob can mention this, probably once a facility is settled down for the evening or whatnot, the last thing you want to do is rile up even a single dog, because that will create chaos in your entire facility, right?
I would say, Aaron, I don't know if this is different for other facilities, but for us, like, I think it's all coming, like, how do they get access to like the link and how the access works? It's not really a link. It's more of like, whenever you log into MoeGo,
Right.
if your dog is checked in, then there's a little green button at the top of like where it says current appointment that says view live feed. So that button does not exist unless your dog is checked in. And for us, our cameras are available it's set up with MoeGo, but they're only available 8 to 5. So whether you're regardless if your dog is checked in, outside of those hours, you can click on or no, you can't click on the link either, but you don't have access then either, whether your dog's checked in or not. But if you don't get that green view live feed button, unless your dog is checked in. So it's not
Right.
really it's not really a separate link. It's still in the same portal. It's not a separate, URL you have to have or
Right.
an access code or anything. It's right in just a normal login with the MoeGo app or the portal.
Yeah, so button is probably the better term for it, I guess we would say. Yeah, it does have a link behind it essentially in the technical sense.
Yeah.
And so we've had people try, there's always, hackers and people that try to, do things they shouldn't. But our technology does not allow, so even if you found that link directly that button would go to later, it does not function unless you're actively checked into the facility the way that our systems communicate to each other.
Nice. Thank you, Aaron and Jacob, for sharing those two different perspectives about using these cameras. There is another question where how many types of cameras are available? Thea has smaller rooms, and would something like a fish eye or a small space camera be available? This is probably for Aaron.
Sure. Our standard camera has what's called a 110-degree viewing angle. We actually partner with a major camera provider we designed a camera with them specifically to us as kind of our standard camera. It is really great at small rooms all the way to larger rooms. The thing about cameras is you're always looking at the floor kind of when you're dealing with dogs, right? You're not trying to see kind of the wider area necessarily unless it's a play area. We have that capability. We have about 3 or 4 cameras that are pretty typical. We have all the way up to a 360-degree fisheye lens. We have a 180 non-distorted 180-degree capable camera that has 2 lenses. So it creates a very wide area of coverage for like large play areas, indoor and outdoor. And that it doesn't distort because it uses 2 actual camera lenses to seamlessly bind together the image. But as far as small spaces, yeah, probably 10 to 12,000 of our cameras are in private small space rooms right now without any issue.
Is there any difference between like how these cameras will work like on mobile units?
Um, Not really, not necessarily. So on the mobile grooming side of things, we use a cellular data provider connection that securely transmits your cameras. Typically, there'll be 2 cameras in a van. There'll be one shooting the cab and kind of like a dash cam scenario so that, as the van's going down the road, all that's being recorded as well. Um, but those cameras stream over this wireless data provider connection securely to our cloud, and then they're accessed there from either an owner or operator or multiple. If you have a fleet of vehicles, it could actually show you all of them in real time. That high-speed data connection can also be used as well as a Wi-Fi connection for other devices inside of the van if you need it. But the functionality is very similar to the actual pet boarding and daycare facilities themselves. It's similar.
Cool. Thank you, Erin. We also got a question. Can we get a copy of the slide deck? Yes, we'll send out an email afterwards. That includes the slide deck if people want it. And yeah, like it will be there in your email. You'll also be able to rewatch this whole recording on YouTube, so you can also see the slide deck there as well. We do have a couple of minutes left, so Aaron, Jacob, or Billy, if there's anything else you guys want to share to our current attendees and also to our attendees, if there's any thing else you guys have questions on, feel free to add in the chat. But yes.
I want to just say thanks to MoeGo, for being so forward thinking as a software provider. Sometimes it can get really difficult to, be that way in software. You can kind of rest on what you've created, and MoeGo's been great working with us over the last year of implementing this integration with us, and we appreciate that. And of course, to Jacob and Hound HQ for being such a quality level customer of ours. And we look forward to servicing other facilities that are interested in this technology.
Yeah, thanks for having me too. Honestly, but I think this is the first time I've met you, Aaron, which is a great thing because I honestly can't me not having to worry about that critical aspect of the experience that I want to provide, um, is pretty pretty remarkable. So that was one. It was one of the things that I was really worried about when I initially put it together to to worry about. I've got a million other things I've got to do today. So trying to deal with a technical issue with the camera, for a couple of hours, on a given day is something that kept me up at night for a while. But haven't had to do it. So thank you for a really good product.
Yeah,
And
that's a compliment. That's a
service.
compliment to our staff. Honestly,
Yeah.
they're on the ground working with our customers, and we take it seriously. It's a complicated thing to do well, and we want to make it as easy for the boarding facilities and ultimately the pet parents, because we're all here for the dogs at the end of the day and the pet parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Billy, is there anything else you would want to add? I think we have
There's like 3 questions that have come up in the chat.
I
Maybe.
know. I was like, I wanted you to, have your moment in case, but we do have a couple last questions before we wrap up the Q&A portion.
Yeah, let's please let folks get their questions answered.
Okay, sounds good. Let's see. There is another question that's asking, how are the cameras powered? Are they Wi-Fi enabled or wired? And then also in mobile as well.
We do have Wi-Fi capable cameras. We don't recommend using Wi-Fi though, for your camera solution, only because Wi-Fi is totally intermittent depending on so many factors at each individual facility. Typically, you would have a wired camera, which uses a single network cable, the same cable you plug your computer into your, internet router with for the days of Wi-Fi. That cable will provide low voltage power and data connection to each camera, and they go back to a single network switch. That's a special switch that provides that additional power. And then that switch connects to your router to provide, the data connection to the cameras. It's really that easy. Probably 50% of our facilities use our installation service. The other 50% use someone they know or they install themselves. So depending on the size of your system and what your capabilities are would determine that. What was the second part of that question?
It was like
What
in for mobile.
mobile browser?
Yeah.
For mobile phone? Sorry.
I guess so on mobile. Lena, can you specify more of that if you mean like in mobile like grooming vans or on mobile mobile grooming, yeah, for vans.
For installation of them. So our ultimate goal is to work with the van manufacturers, the major ones, right? So we have one right now. We can't release the name of that partnership just yet because it's still in development. But ultimately, we'd like this to be a checkbox option for new vans that are being built, right? So that the iDogCam system can just be built right in. We do have technicians all over the country that help install and modify current vans. So our system is basically in a sealed box that lives in the back in your regular equipment bay. And then the cameras are wired in using a real thin network cable that goes to each wire from the back to each area of the van from the back of the van where the unit sits. Typically, an installation takes about 8 hours. Again, if some of our facilities or some of our mobile van owners have done it themselves, no problem. We send out details on how to install it or best practices. But if you want one of our techs to come out and install it for you, that option's also available.
Okay, cool. We have one last question to wrap up our Q&A portion. So this person, Anna, already has 8 security cameras installed in our salon for safety monitoring. If we decide to start using iDogCam, will it require replacing or reinstalling new cameras?
Good question. Yeah. So probably about 80 to 90% of current existing systems we can tap into and then pull the video feeds you want out of those cameras. The only disadvantage of that is typically they may be lower quality just because there are different types of cameras, and we can't troubleshoot or guarantee those feeds as high quality as far as maintenance as our equipment, just because it's not provided or purchased through us. But we do have maybe 10% of our customers that are using some sort of existing infrastructure that they had made an investment in before, and they wanted all the capabilities that our system can offer. So typically in that case, what we would do is set up a quick call with you, see if we can connect to your system. There's no obligation for that. We'll just check it out. And we don't make money on equipment that we sell per se so much. So if we can use your existing equipment, totally cool doing that, and happy to shepherd you into that.
Thanks, Erin. Okay, so that will wrap up our Q&A portion, but don't worry, everyone. Here's everyone's emails if you have any other questions, and we'll send emails after this too, so don't worry, we'll make sure all your questions will still be answered. Thank you again, Erin from iDogCam and Jake from Hound HQ for sharing your insights today, and thanks to everyone who joined us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I just want to say in closing, thank you everybody who did make time to come out, and thanks to Aaron and Jacob for sharing your point of view, because as part of our mission, we want to be able to do everything we can to help everybody in the industry elevate and grow their business. If you'd like to learn more about our iDogCam integration or see MoeGo in action, we'll include follow-up links in our post-webinar email that we'll be sending out. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
MoeGo.